Hey guys, welcome back. So we are looking at 8.4 today. You do have 3 lessons this week, which means you also have 3 video keywords. So we're going to go ahead and jump right into 8.4. So in 8.4, we are graphing quadratics. So graph each set of functions on the same coordinate axis. Describe in what ways the graphs are the same and in what ways they are different. So we are going to be looking at number 2 today. So for number 2, we've got y equals 1/4 x squared, y equals negative x squared, and y equals negative 4x squared. So we're going to start with the y equals negative x squared. So this is our typical parabola. So we're going to start at 0, 0. Because if we plug a 0 in for x, 0 squared is 0. Negative 0 doesn't exist. It equals 0. So that's how we get that point there. Plug in a 1. 1 squared is 1. It's negative, so y equals negative 1. Plug in a 2. 2 squared is 4, and then we make it negative. So 2, we're going to be at 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing with 3. 3 squared is 9. We make it negative. So let's see, this was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Now, because it's a parabola, it's symmetric. So negative 1 is also going to be at negative 1. Negative 2 is also going to be at negative 4. And negative 3 is also going to be at negative 9. So this is our parabola. I'm going to attempt to draw this curve, but I make no promises how it's going to look. Ooh, not at all. Hang on. Nope. Okay, I'm not going to try and draw this curve. You guys draw this curve in, but trying to get the curve just right here on my computer is a little complicated. Maybe with this. Nope, too straight. Okay, but you can see those points there. For the next one, I'll use a different color to make it a little easier on you guys. Okay, so next we're going to look at y equals negative 4x squared. So for the y equals negative 4x squared, well, same thing. It's still going to start at 0, 0. Because 0 squared is 0 times negative 4 is 0. So y equals 0. Now we plug in a 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times negative 4 is negative 4. So we're going to be down here at 1, 2, 3, 4. Same thing for negative 1. Now 2 squared is 4. 4 times negative 4 is negative 16. Negative 16 goes off the graph, so we don't have to graph that. I'm going to see if I can actually draw this one. Sort of. Not really. No, I can't handle that being my parabola. Okay, so there is our y equals negative 4x squared. So now the last one that we have left is the y equals 1/4 x squared. So I'm putting the little dots above to color code so that way you know which one goes with which, since I know it's a little hard to see. I'm actually going to, hold on. I'm going to adjust this to make it a little easier to see those points for you guys. Hopefully. There we go. Do the same thing for the purple one. Sorry, just want to make sure you guys could actually see these points a little better. Now remember, the blue one and the purple one both share the point 0, 0. Okay, back to our last one, our green one here. So y equals 1/4 x squared. If we plug a 0 into this, 0 squared is 0. 0 times 1/4 is 0. So once again, it's going to start at the origin. Now, 1 squared is 1. 1 times 1/4 is 1/4. That's going to be a little hard to graph. So we move on to 2. 2 squared is 4. 4 times 1/4 is 1. So same thing over here. Now we're going to skip. We're going to do the even ones only on this one because the odd ones are going to be partials, and that's a little hard to graph on this with my pen as it is. So we're going to skip to 4. 4 squared is 16. 16 times 1/4, or essentially 16 divided by 4 is 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Go all the way over here. There was 2, 3, and 4. All right, how about 6? 6 squared is 36. 36 divided by 4, or 36 times 1/4 is 9. So this was 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Go all the way over here. And we also plot 9. So here are our 3 parabolas. So we've got the purple, the blue, and the green. So now we want to say in what ways they are the same and what ways they are different. So they all have the same vertex. So they have the same vertex. They have different slopes. And 2 have a max, 1 a min. So if we think about it, the blue and the purple ones, those are both inverted. So they have a maximum, whereas the green one has a minimum value because it is positive. So keep that in mind as you're taking and doing these, what that looks like. Alrighty? Okay. So that's what you're looking at for these first 4. So on the first one, they are all going to be going up because none of our values are negative. They're just going to be stretched. Here you have it's getting made wider. It's the shifted down 2. Here it's wider and shifted down 2. Here it's narrower and shifted down 2. So you're going to be shifting down some on these. Here you're looking at the regular, the inverse, our regular parabola plus 2, and our inverse parabola plus 2. So looking at what those look like. So remember that plus 2 just means it's being moved up 2 on our y-axis. All right, the next thing we're going to look at. So parabolas. Sometimes we aren't taken and given the quadratic function. We're given other parts of the parabola. So there's a lot of different parts that we've never really talked about before. So your key word for this lesson is parabola, since we're going into quite a bit of depth with parabolas today and within these next 3 lessons that we're doing. So use the conic definition of a parabola to sketch a parabola defined by the given focus, F, and the equation of the directrix. So begin by graphing the focus, the directrix, and point P1. Use the distance formula to find FP1 and find the vertical distance between P1 and the directrix by identifying point H on the directrix and counting the distance. Locate the point P2, the point on the parabola that's a reflection of P1 across the axis of symmetry, and locate the vertex. Since the vertex is a point on the parabola, it must lie equidistant between the focus and the directrix. Sketch the parabola. Hint, the parabola always hugs the focus. So lots of words up there, but basically what we're taking and doing is we're going to be given the focus and a point and the directrix. We're going to graph these 3 things out. Then we have to find the distance between the focus and the point. And that's going to take, and so just like they did here, we had the focus, the point, and y1. So this was y1. We have our focus, and we had this point here. That's all the more information they had. Then they used the distance formula to find the distance between the focus and this point. And then we also found the distance between that point and the directrix. And then that means we did the exact same thing over here to figure out where it should go. Okay? So, looking over here, we've got the focus is 1, -1. So we're going to go over 1, down 1. So here's our focus. Our directrix is y equals -3. So -2, -3. I'm going to draw this line. Ooh, really crappy line. Okay, that should be a nice straight line that goes through y equals -3. And then our point is 3, -1. So 1, 2, 3, -1. Okay, so, hang on, did I graph that right? Yeah, okay, sorry, got myself a little confused. I thought I graphed it wrong. Okay, so now what we want to do first is find our vertex. So the vertex has to be equidistant from both the directrix and the focus. So that means it's always going to have the same x value as what the focus does. So because the directrix and the focus are 2 apart, half of that is just 1, so we just move 1. So there is our vertex. Now, this point here, our P1, is 2 from the directrix. And without calculate, and it's obviously 2 from the focus, so we're going to go 2 to the other side and make sure it's 2 above. It is. So this right here, obviously you can keep extending that up. It's a little difficult for mine to work, but there is our parabola. So that's what you guys are doing. And remember, it said it hugs the focus. That's how we know it's going upward instead of downward based on where that is. All right, we're going to do another one just as some more practice. So we have the focus. Use a different color for my focus and point. The focus is -5, 3. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's -5. And then up 3, 1, 2, 3. So there's our focus. Our point is -1, 3, so over -1, up 3. And then our directrix is y equals 7. So 4, 5, 6, 7. And let's see if I can make a straighter line this time. It's a little straighter. We can pretend it worked out nice and straight. Okay, so this is what we have. Now remember, this was our focus. Our focus is 1, 2, 3, 4 away from the directrix. Half of 4 is 2, so that means we're going to go up 2. There is our vertex. Now, the point, -1, 3, is also 4 from the directrix. So our other point is going to be 4 from the directrix. And it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4. So here is our parabola. Sorry, it's not the greatest parabola. But that's approximately what our parabola should look like. Your curve will look much better than mine. It's just hard to take and draw the curve on here. And once again, it's hugging the focus. So this time it is an inverted parabola. So remember, it always has to hug that focus, which just means it's going to be going around it. It'll curve around the focus, essentially, and try and contain it in. All right, so you guys are going to do the exact same thing for 7 and 8. So I only left you with 2 that you have to do. Okay? All right. The last thing that we're taking and looking at in this is finding the center and the radius of the circle. Now, we need to take and write each equation so that it shows the center, HK, and the radius, R, of the circle. This is called standard form of the circle. Obviously, none of these are in standard form. We've got all sorts of things going on because we don't have x minus h squared plus y minus k. We have x squared plus y squared plus 4y minus 12 equals 0. So there's a lot going on here. So I'm going to switch over to my whiteboard to show you guys what we're taking and doing on these. I'm going to do 4 of them with you just to show you lots of different problems and hopefully make as much sense as possible. All right, so the first one we're going to take a look at is 13. Ooh, reflection. My goodness. All right, so the first one we're taking a look at is 13. So we've got the x squared plus y squared plus 4y minus 12 equals 0. So the first thing we have to take and do is rearrange it so that we have the, well, sort of rearrange it. In this one, we don't have to do too much rearranging. First thing we're going to do is add this 12 over to this side. So now we have x squared plus y squared plus 4y equals 12. Now, what we have to take and do is complete the square. So remember, completing the square, we take the middle number. So we're going to take 4 and divide it by 2. We get 2. And then we're going to square that. And 2 squared is 4. So we do plus 4. And so then, because we added 4 here, sorry, that light is really crazy. Because we added 4 here, we have to also add 4 to this side of the equal sign. So now we have x squared plus, we need to factor this, y plus 2 squared. Remember, whatever this value is what's going to go. Oops, you can't see that. Whatever this value is what's going to go right here. And then equals 12 plus 4 is 16. We know what the center is. The center is 0, negative 2. And the radius is 4, because the square root of 16 is 4. Now, you don't have to take and list out what the center and radius are. You just have to get it into standard form of the circle. But this is me showing you that we did find that. All right, the next one. So we have 15 says x squared plus y squared plus 8x plus 4y minus 5 equals 0. So what this means is we have to take and do completing the square for 2 problems. So I'm trying to get this situated so that you can actually see. Okay, I think that's going to work. Okay, so we're going to group the x values, we're going to group the y values, and we're going to move the 5 over. So add the 5 over. That cancels out. So we've got x squared plus 8x plus y squared plus 4y equals 5. So I just did that all in one get-go. Okay, so we take our 8, divide it by 2, we get 4. 4 squared is 16. So this first one is going to factor to x plus 4 squared plus. Now we come over here. 4 divided by 2 is 2. 2 squared is 4. So now we're going to have plus y plus 2 squared. Now, what we're taking and looking at is we had to add this 5 over. We've added 16 and 4, so we're going to add plus 16 plus 4. All has to happen to this side as well. So 16 plus 4 is 20, plus 5 is 25. There is our standard form. Our center is negative 4, negative 2, and our radius is 5. All right, a few more problems just to give you lots of practice and lots of examples for how to do these. Okay, so for 18, we have x squared plus y squared minus 4x plus 8y plus 6. So we're going to subtract the 6, group our x's, so x squared minus 4x plus y squared plus 8y equals negative 6. And you can't see that. There we go. Sorry about that. Okay, so now we have this. Now we have to take and do the square root, or not the square root, sorry. We're going to take negative 4 and divide it by 2. We get negative 2. We square that. We get 4. So we're going to add 4 over here. This becomes x minus 2 squared. So because this was negative, this is also negative. Plus, now 8 divided by 2 is 4. 4 squared is 16. So we add a 16 over here as well. And then this is y plus 4 squared equals. Now, once again, we have 16 and 4 being added together. That's going to give us 20, but then 20 minus 6 is going to give us 14. So there is our equation for a circle. We've got the center, it's 2, negative 4. We've got the radius, it's the square root of 14. All right, and the last one, number 22, and I'm going to take and erase this right here just so we have plenty of space. So this one is a little different. Notice we have 4x squared plus 4y squared plus 4x minus 4y minus 1 equals 0. So because there's all these 4s, we're going to divide everything right off the bat by 4. The whole thing divided by 4. So now we have x squared plus y squared plus x minus y minus 1/4 equals 0. Now we're going to add the 1/4 over, just like so. Sorry, I know it's kind of hard with that strange. There we go. That's all better. Okay, so now what we're going to take and do is group. So we're going to have x squared plus x plus y squared minus y equals 1/4. You guys can see that okay? There, we'll just bring it all the way over here. Okay, so now we take our middle number, which is 1, divide it by 2, so we end up with a half. And then we're going to square that. Now, when we square a fraction, we square the numerator and we square the denominator. So 1 squared is 1, 2 squared is 4. So we end up with plus 1/4. So plus 1/4. So this factors as x plus 1/2 squared plus y. And then here we're going to take our negative 1, divide it by 2. Then we square the negative 1/2. Negative 1 squared is 1. 2 squared is 4. So we have another plus 1/4. And so this is going to be minus 1/2 squared here equals, well, we have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. So we have 3/4. So our center is negative 1/2, 1/2, and our radius is the square root of 3/4. So that is how we're taking and doing those. So it's all about completing the square. That's why we've been practicing with the completing the square and have been looking at those because your circles aren't always going to be in standard form. Sometimes they're going to be all multiplied through. So knowing how to switch between those is very important. All right, so remember your keyword for this lesson is parabola. Make sure you get that submitted for a nice easy 10 points. Have a wonderful week and happy mathing.